Hello and welcome to Faking Engineering. I'm Michael Kruger and this is my new channel. So basically what I'm going to be doing here is what I've been doing my whole life, faking engineering. That's not to say we're doing engineering wrong, but it's more of learning engineering on the job as you go, as you do the task that you're trying to accomplish. Personally, in my own life, I only graduated high school, but I've managed to land a job in an engineering firm where I'm a plumbing designer, been doing this for several years. And I've learned and utilized advanced concepts that I've had to learn on the job as I was required to do them. And I've done that same approach throughout my whole life, and that's what brought me to make this channel. Was I wanted to share that with y'all. I've got some cool projects coming up, but this is sort of a first test video to get things going. So what we're going to be doing today is getting ready for the RTX 3080. Obviously, I think that's what most of y'all are doing right now. The 3080 is not available barely at all. If you go to Micro Center and show up in the morning and ask if they have one, that's about the only way you're going to be able to get one these days. So wait until Christmas, maybe later, they're going to start showing up. But you're going to need to get your build ready first. Obviously, I'm a pretty avid PC gamer. And this rig, while it might be able to accommodate a 3080 as is, it's not really going to be able to accomplish what I'm looking for. So right here I have a Ryzen 9 3950X. That's a 16 core 32 thread processor. I have that paired with 64 gigabytes of 3600 megahertz CL16 RAM and a right now sad little RTX 2060. It's overclocked and it's got this AIO that I strapped to it, 240 millimeter AIO with some aluminum heat sinks. I'll show you that a little closer on once we get to the deconstruction. So right now I've got an 850 watt power supply in there, and that's not really going to be able to drive what I want to do with the 3080. This configuration, an 850 watt might be able to power it, but we're going to go for extreme overclocking with a custom loop. That brings me to the case. I've got the 011 Dynamic XL from Lee & Lee Der Bauer edition. It's German engineered perfection. BMW has been saying that for years, but as we all know, I'm probably going to end up in a service center in about 5,000 miles with this thing. I went to Micro Center specifically not wanting to buy this case. Everybody's been getting this case, everybody's been building in it. I wanted to get something a little different, but I also wanted something that could accommodate two 360 millimeter radiators and wasn't Corsair. There's a lot of issues with the way the iCUE interacts with the Ryzen Zen 2 processors, and it causes overvolting to just occur, like 1.45 up. I've actually had a chip degrade. The AMD sent me a new one back out and said that, yeah, this is faulty. The boost clocks went down. It degraded, guys. If you're using a Zen 2 3000 series processor, do not run iCUE. Right now, as you can see, I've got all this fancy Corsair RGB stuff and everything I have had to store to hardware lighting profiles because I can't run the program without killing my processor. So now I have this nice unicorn vomit effect going on because one of my pieces was stuck on Rainbow, so I had to match some others. So hopefully we can get away from that, but unfortunately, at this point, Corsair is the only one that's not changed their program to work with the AMD architecture. Everyone else has. Corsair sent me an email back whenever I inquired about this and basically said, hey, it's the problem with the processor. I mean, they have 25% market share, this guys. You can't say that 25% of the gaming CPUs out there are faulty whenever it's just your program that's not working. I'm talking to you, Corsair. Fix your crap. All right, since we're going to be going for extreme overclocking, I went with a 1,000 watt power supply. Now again, this one's from Corsair, and I didn't want to get Corsair, guys, but this was the only 1,000 watt power supply that Micro Center had. It's honestly, you can't even order these things. Best Buy's out of them. You don't want to go to Best Buy anyway. Don't go to Best Buy. So yeah, that's going to be powering our system. It's fully modular, just like the old one. We're going to be able to provide all the watts, all the powers for all the overclocks. Overclocks are fun, right? Well, why have a tuner if you're not going to tune it? So I also don't have enough fans for my new case. And I really wanted the new Lee & Lee unis. Like, everybody wants those. They're really awesome. They're wireless. You can basically stick up to 4 of them together in line and only have a couple wires coming off one side. They make for a really clean build and they look really good. Unfortunately, they are fluid dynamic bearings, so they might get a little old over time, and that was one reason that I didn't really want to wait on those to come out. So what I went with is, again guys, I got more Corsair. I'm disappointed in myself too, but these have the Lightning Node core, so as I currently have on my PC, I can store those lighting profiles to hardware, and we'll just have to keep dealing and waiting on Corsair and AMD to stop their little hissy fight with each other. Now, my old PC is retaining pretty much everything that's already in it, except for obviously the hardware that's coming out, but all the fans and everything for the most part are staying, and in is going my old motherboard, an i5. Now, it's an early model i5, and it's got a pretty decent 16 gigabytes of RAM, but it's a little slower by today's standards. It's fine though. It's not really going to be for gaming. This is going to be for our entertainment PC downstairs. This is also a micro ATX board, so once I get that in there, eventually once I upgrade graphics cards, the 2060 will go back in this case, and those stupid fans will go back inside. I'll be able to get the dust filter back. That computer downstairs, I'm gonna take at least one of the 2.5-inch SSDs from this computer, and I'm gonna run the OS on that, and I'm gonna back it up with a couple 3.5-inch hard drives. They're slow, they're mechanical, but they're reliable. And I'll be able to run something like a Plex server on there where we can put our videos on there, watch them remotely. I mean, don't do anything illegal, but if you were going to do something illegal, a Plex server is the best way to go about it. Let's get to deconstructing, right? Jay and Silent Bob first. Where should we put them? Where should we put you guys? Up here. All right, so we've torn everything out of the old PC that we want to take out. We've left the fans, we've left the power supply, and that's about it. Everything else has come out. Now we've got the graphics card here. This is what I was talking about earlier. I actually ripped this thing apart. I pulled off the metal backplate. I took a Dremel and cut two pieces out so that I could fit the all-in-one cooler in there. Now once I got that on, I also added some aluminum heat sinks and a little bit of active cooling with an 80mm fan. You can do this at home if you have a non-reference card like I did. They make brackets for reference cards, but we warned anytime you take a cooler off of there, you're going to be breaking the warranty. So do it at your own risk. Here we've got the motherboard with the AIO still installed, as well as the RAM. We have our two SSDs, it's a 500GB and a terabyte, our vertical mount for the GPU, and a couple fans that we're going to be using in the new build. All right, so now we're going to unbox our new case. Let's see what all they gave us. Oh my God, I saw this in the store, but that is a thick boy. That's hefty. Oh, there's a lock on the back. That pops off. This side should come right up. There it is. We've got our dust screens on the top and bottom. We've got removable pieces right here, so we can get extra fan flow straight to the back of the case. So these pop right out. And we have 360mm radiator support on the bottom, 360 millimeter radiator support on the top, as well as the side, and then we have a 120 fan for the back. Today we're going to be installing our 360 millimeter AIO for the CPU on either the top of the side, and we're going to put the actually we'll probably put it on the top and then put the 240 millimeter for the GPU on the side. All that'll get changed around whenever it gets custom water cooling, but finally have room, and we have a big ass power supply to put in there too. All right, let's take a look at our power supply. This is hefty. Looks like a shoebox, doesn't it? You know, it costs about as much as a pair of Jordans. All right. Hey, this is an engineering channel, not an unboxing channel. Unboxing comes second. All right, looks like they give us some zip ties. Definitely always take those. Ooh, I've never gotten a vinyl bag for my modular power supply parts before. That's fancy. That's nice. I'm into that. I was expecting it to be bigger. It's definitely got more heft to it than like my 850 gold one, so there's definitely more going on. You can actually see inside, those are some big capacitors inside of there. But here, it looks like we got quite a few different connection points, so we're gonna be able to hook up everything that we need. And I think that I'm actually gonna route 3 different cables to the graphics card position, because it's been advised that basically you don't want to cause any bottleneck on your power delivery for these cards. I honestly was only running one to my 2060, and I should have run 2 separate ones, but it's a pretty low power card. You're pretty safe to do it, and I already didn't have much room. In this new case, we have a ton of room to run cables, so we're gonna run everything that we need. It's all gonna look clean. It's gonna be great. All right, let's take a look at the fans that we got. So these are the Corsair QL series. These are the 120 size. They're actually shine on both the front and back, so no matter which way you orient them in a case, you're gonna get good lighting effects, something that you don't get with many fans out there. The Lee & Lees that I want you to do, but those are unavailable. Let's take a look at what comes in the box. Ooh, these look fancy. Nice silver hub to them, looks very well centered. Should be unnoticeable while spinning. Comes with 3 fans and whatever's in here. All right, this is gonna be our lighting node core that they talk about. What this does is it controls the lightings for up to 6 fans of the same type. So I've got 2 of these in here. I'm gonna be able to hook all 6 of my QL series fans onto one hub, and then my LL series fan for the rear onto another. And we'll be able to store everything to lighting profiles, keep it on hardware, not run IQ. Pretty simple, pretty good. This improves a lot on their old RGB node and Commander Pro design that required you to buy 2 pieces, one of which being like an $80 component just to get your stuff working. I'm glad they're finally listening to their consumers and making this available to the general public. I had actually emailed Corsair requesting one, and they told me it wasn't available, so this must be pretty new that they're actually shipping them out with the fans and not just with cases. Let's get to building. This video is starting to take a while. Let's speed things up a bit. Oh, you do not want to do this, guys. That is a terrible power supply installation. I'm pretty sure that's what the kids call a big oof. You should be seeing the fan side of the power supply right now so that it can draw fresh air in through the filtered opening in the back of the case. I've got it directed towards the interior where there's absolutely no airflow. Hopefully I catch this by the end of the build. So you'll notice I'm replacing the M.2 shroud on my motherboard. I had to remove it to gain access to one of the mounting screws. This is pretty common on a lot of motherboards these days. I would be installing a new Samsung 980 Pro in this slot, but I'm waiting on competition to bring down prices. Ugh, that looks horrible. I'm going back to Micro Center. And I'm back. I had to get 2 sets of cable extensions to cover all my CPU and GPU cables, and 2 different PWM splitters. But I'll be able to take all the ugly stuff to the back of the case with nice cable comb power distribution and less fan connections to my motherboard. Look at that! I finally realized my power supply was flipped around. Good for me. So here's the twist, guys. I've obviously built computers before, and this wasn't a new challenge to me. What was a new challenge, however, was making and editing a video. This is my first one, and I didn't take any classes, I didn't have any help. I did this all on my own. I think it turned out pretty well, and I'm excited to get better. I didn't use any especially fancy equipment, just my Google Pixel 4 XL and this blue condensing microphone that I have. I used Audacity, a free, easy to use program to record the audio, and I did all the editing in Adobe Premiere Pro. I got to give a big shout out to Adobe and the Creative Cloud. They have a 7-day free trial which I used to make this, and I highly recommend it to anyone interested in content creation. They did have some really great tutorials that got me off the ground. They showed me how to bring in clips and audio, to normalize volume, how to color correct automatically without getting that in the weeds. But most of my questions were actually answered by the YouTube community. There's a great wealth of knowledge out there, guys, and I highly recommend you go check it out. Now, I do have a lot more cool videos coming up that are going to be more than just building computers. Obviously, whenever I get the new 3080, I will be installing it and putting in the hardline water tubing that we were talking about. I have a feeling it's going to be a little different than soldering copper in field, but we'll find out how hard it is exactly. Also, more in the short term, I'm going to be taking apart the lens from this Canon DSLR camera and trying to clean it. This was given to my fiance from a friend, and it's had some bad aging. The lens cap wasn't kept on, and there's a lot of dust on the inside, maybe a few hairs from what she tells me, and it's just generally had some yellowing going on the lens. So we're going to try and take this apart, find out how it works, and put it back together. I also have a telescope we're going to be taking apart and cleaning. I've had this since middle school, so probably about 15 years, and I also haven't stored it the best. I haven't kept the dust covers on the caps, and it's gotten quite dirty on the inside. So we're going to be taking this apart as well, learning how it works, cleaning it, and putting it back together. So this is the project I think y'all are going to be most excited about. I don't want to give away too much, but I will say that I do have this render from a CAD file. It's about 10 years old that I had made whenever I first came up with this design. Now, it involves a 7.1 surround sound system, combustible gas, and fire. Let me know in the comments if you think you know what it is. And that's going to be it for today. I'm going to put this machine through its paces with some Rocket League. I'm going to lose. Oh my god, why didn't you stay in goal? Left goes. There it is. Nice. Thanks. Nice. Nice. Ooh, I would have to be on the other team. What? That defied physics. Too easy. You got it. Come on. There it is. You got it. Come on, buddy. You got it. Last goal. There it is. Nice. Right on the money. That's all, folks. Baking. Alright, so to power this new gaming rig, I need a drink. Balls Energy for the gamers. When you like balls in your mouth.
Product placement.
It's great. They definitely don't sponsor me.